Welcome to the Photography Opinion Podcast. We discuss all things photo, video, and camera related. I'm Ben Lucas.
And I'm Stuart Marlantis.
And this is Photo Op.
I don't know, a couple dozen episodes back, we told people that they shouldn't back Kickstarters most of the time, but I have a confession to make. I still back Kickstarters here and there. And
so do I.
You can catch me perusing the Kickstarter site, which is a big mistake, by the way. Don't do this, but perusing the Kickstarter site and looking for cool campaigns to check out, which try to sucker me out of my money. That being said, for the one cool campaign that I see on Kickstarter, there's probably 9 that are terrible, that weirdly, at least, if not more, and they make a lot of the same mistakes, which is frustrating. Like, I feel like at this point Kickstarter's been around for quite a while. Why are people not getting the message about how to run a Kickstarter well? And so I don't know, I was thinking maybe we could talk about that today.
I love it. Yeah, there have been a few Kickstarters that I have very much wanted to back because they did everything right. But the price was just too high. And I'm like, oh, you're so close. I want to give you my money, but it's too much.
Or they do everything right, and then they make like one mistake, which is a deal breaker. Like 80% of it is like, I am so on board. And then there's one thing they do, and you're like, ooh, that indicates some potential problems in this Kickstarter actually being successful, and you back out. I don't know. I feel like I've had pretty good luck with Kickstarter. Pretty much everything I've backed
I've had terrible luck with Kickstarter.
Oh yeah,
less than half the stuff I've backed has actually come out successfully.
Fun stuff. So even when people are even when people make a good Kickstarter, sometimes it goes wrong. But still, if you're gonna make a Kickstarter, you should do things the right way, and I feel like we can help people.
You shouldn't make people wait for 6 years to get an RFID reader. It's a thing that already exists. Anyway, not that I'm super bitter about that or anything.
A non-specific RFID Kickstarter.
not that I'm trying to call out anyone specifically, but
no, of course not.
Gear Eye, get your crap together. Okay. Did I just say that? Yeah, I'm keeping that in. That's happening. Yep. But for all of you at home, so today we are going to talk about how to do Kickstarter wrong. It is all of the pitfalls and foibles and terrible things that we see online that if you are a content creator, don't do any of these things. But before we jump into this, hey, did you know I have a Kickstarter? It launches tomorrow. Crazy coincidence that you wanted to talk about this episode today, Stuart.
Yeah, I heard
amazing.
Maybe somebody was having a Kickstarter and good cross promotional opportunities.
So yes, the second Galactic Pinups calendar is coming out tomorrow. If you are watching this on launch day, search Galactic Pinups on Kickstarter. You'll have to change the filter from all to upcoming, but then you can click on the notify me when it launches. On day 1, everything will be a lot cheaper than the rest of the campaign. So get that early bird calendar. It is going to be a nerd-themed pinup calendar with a lot of fun drink recipes. So get on it. And Galactic Pinups, galacticpinups.com on Kickstarter.
I'd like to point out that Ben said the second Galactic Pinups calendar. That's because he ran one and it was successful and awesome. And I have 2 or 3 of them, I think, kicking around still. Just because the art is so good, I'm not, gonna throw them away. They're awesome. But yeah, you have run a successful Kickstarter.
I have run a successful Kickstarter.
So this is not us,
average Joe.
Yeah, this is not us talking about Kickstarters and being like, back our totally unproven Kickstarter, or your Kickstarter rather.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take credit for it. But yes, you have run successful Kickstarters.
I have also run an unsuccessful Kickstarter.
Well, that's true.
Which
both sides of
I've learned a lot of lessons from that one, and I've also been on the campaign teams for other people's Kickstarters, and I've seen them both fail and succeed.
Yeah.
So no, I have probably been a part of probably 10 or 12 different Kickstarters, including the 2 of my own, the one successful one and the one failed one, and we can talk more about that too.
So let's get right into it. What makes a bad Kickstarter?
Oh, there are so many things. Let's start with the video. Now I'm going to start by saying not everyone watches the video. So you need to have everything in both video and still form. Because if someone's like on the toilet at work and they don't want to listen to a video, you know?
Yeah.
They just want to scroll really quickly before they have to, go back to their desk. So you need to make sure that people who don't watch the video still are not missing super important bits of information. That said, you must 100% have a video. I know Kickstarter says it's optional. In my book, it's not.
Mm-hmm. And you don't have to. So a lot of these Kickstarters are Kickstarter videos, rather, can be like really high budget. Like they obviously put a lot of time and a lot of effort into the video. I'm not going to advocate for that. Like that's cool if you can do that, but your video should be competently made. It doesn't have to be amazing Hollywood effects and like
there is only one
budget.
Technical thing we will judge you on. Everything else can be shot with your phone.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What is that one thing that you must get right?
Well, I would say audio.
Yes, audio.
Yes, because newsflash, we've said this a million times, but if you haven't heard it before, video succeeds or fails on audio. You can have a surprisingly crappy looking video, but good audio, and people will watch it and enjoy it. If you have crappy audio but the most amazing looking video in the world, people will click out of that really fast. I'm looking at you, Tenet. Movie came out recently. The audio was all over the place and a mess, and a lot of people complained about it. Not that it looked bad; they complained about the audio. So
let's
to the best of us.
I'm gonna do a quick demonstration. So, how many of you would listen to the podcast if the whole thing sounded just like this, right? If I sound like I'm in an echo chamber super far away from my microphone.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
No, don't do it. Get it right.
Yep. Yeah, you can be modest in every other respect. I mean, you should still be competent, right? Like try to expose things correctly. Try not to have, shaky cam, but you can be very modest in every other thing about your video, but your audio needs to be good or it's not happening. And that literally could cause your campaign to fail. No kidding.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that's really the one technical thing. Everything else is more about kind of the rewards or how you make people feel or see or conceive your project. Mm-hmm. So what are some other things that people get wrong, whether it's in the video or the campaign?
So one of the things that I think I look for in Kickstarter the most is weirdly enough, not the idea. Like I want to buy into the team or the person behind the idea and trust that they are competent. And if the idea has to shift or change over time, that they're going to do their best to either deliver or change it and deliver a new thing appropriately. Like I want to believe them. I want to trust the team. And I think a lot of the things that we're going to talk about today are examples of ruining that trust or perhaps coming across the wrong way, like a way that you do not want to appear. And of course, at the end of the day, you want the reward that the Kickstarter is promising. But if you don't believe that they can deliver on that reward, what's the point? Like you need to back the team or the person behind it. And it's not a store. Unfortunately, Kickstarter is not a store. So you need to believe that they'll deliver. And a lot of these things indicate that somebody's not going to deliver, or if they do deliver something, it's not going to be very good. That's the other aspect, is that you want to believe that they're going to put a focus on quality and communication. So that starts immediately with the campaign, both in the video and in text. I'm going to skip down the page of a Kickstarter immediately, and the first thing I'm going to talk about is risks. This is a big one that I almost immediately like. If I find a campaign that I like, almost immediately ignore everything on the page and scroll down to risks and see what people talk about in risks. This is a big one. If people say,
Really?
yeah, at least for me, like if people are flippant about their risks, I'm almost immediately not going to back the Kickstarter. This is a common thing you see with
That's true.
with people
When
that
people are like, "There's no risk. It's fine."
Right, exactly. And this is a common thing you see with people that are new to Kickstarter is they're like, what risk could there possibly be? Like, I am such a great person and there's no chance that this could possibly go wrong and I won't be able to deliver. I would rather see somebody that says like, hey, there's like a 60% chance of this being happening, and here's why, than somebody who says there's no possible way this isn't going to happen. I don't believe that. Like, I would rather trust and put my money behind somebody who's like, yeah, there's a possibility this won't happen, and here are those possibilities. We have done our best to make sure that doesn't become a problem, but this is a realistic look at the possibility of this campaign failing. I really appreciate that kind of stuff. So like that kind of honesty, I would say that's huge in the risk part of the page, but honesty in general is something that I look for. If I get the feeling that they're trying to make themselves look bigger and fancier and more competent than they actually are, as weirdly as that sounds, that I'm much less interested.
Oh, yeah, no, this is not a job interview.
No,
you can't smoke the internet.
Yep.
You might be able to trick one person. You can't smoke the internet.
Exactly.
How
about you?
So on I'll just start by kind of responding to your question. So actually on the new Kickstarter that's coming out, go look at it, galacticpinups.com. On the new Kickstarter that's coming out, for the risks and challenges part, it's funny that you say that, because I actually kind of put like, there's not any risk, like you're gonna get a calendar, like that's kind of it. But here's the difference. I didn't say there is no risk, you're an idiot, this section is stupid, why is this section here? What I said was, I'm using a company that I've been using for all my promotional material for the last 10 years. They printed the last calendar. They have excellent customer service. In the rare event something has gone wrong, they fix it very quickly. I'm already done with 5 out of the 12 campaign months before I'm even asking you for money. But by the time Kickstarter even gives me my money, all 12 will be done anyway. Of like, all of these things are done or happening or set in place.
Well, and you've done another one before, right? So there have been Kickstarters where I've backed a individual or company that's done something before, and their second risks page is a lot less involved. They're like, hey, we've done this before, we're doing a very similar thing again. Here's what we did last time, or here's who we're going with, or here's how we're making this thing. And I'm like, okay, cool. Or in your case, you're not explicitly saying the print could fail and nobody gets anything. You're saying, like, reading between the lines, the print could fail, but if it does, this printer has been great about handling this stuff before. Cool. That's excellent.
So pretty much the only risk for me is I'm doing Rose City Comic-Con in September, and I would very much like to have the calendars. But if something happens and like a model hurts themselves or scheduling falls through and like I'm not able to get it by September, of like, that is the biggest risk. But you don't care about that. I care about that, because I care about selling more calendars. But if it falls through in September, of like, I'm gonna fix it by December when you need your calendar, of like, that's gonna happen, like 100%.
And that indicates another lack of risk for the individual receiving the calendar, in that you're shooting for months ahead of when they would actually receive this calendar. So at worst, what? Oh no, you get delayed a month, you get delayed 2 months. Oh no, like, whoop-de-doo, people are still going to get their calendar.
I mean, like a 3-month buffer.
Yeah, like that sucks for you, but that, seeing that you're shooting for something much earlier inspires confidence, because if the worst happens, sucks for Rose City Comic-Con, but I know that I'm going to get my calendar at the end of the day. So I'm not saying with risks that you have to, like, self-flagellate and you have to say, don't back me, I'm such a risk. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, have you considered the risks? Are you going open-minded into risky territory? And if so, I'm like, cool. We're on the same page. I get the Kickstarter's a risk, and you get the Kickstarter's a risk, and we're both on the same page. And so I'd rather give my money to somebody that gets that. So if you say there's no risk, I am not backing you, pretty much.
Yeah. Let's see, a couple other things that I see constantly. Don't be creepy. I think we said this last time. Don't I don't really have anything to expand on that. Just don't be creepy.
Yeah, you
That's it. That's the whole thing. We can move on to the next thing. Don't be creepy.
See that too much. I was just gonna say you see that too much.
You see it way too much. Okay, so another one that you see is there are times where people waste the video. So, like I said, not everyone's going to watch the videos, so it is important that you have everything in the campaign. But when you waste the video, like there was one where they showed like a clip from a movie that was like tangential to what their campaign was actually about, because they were doing like a photography campaign, so they just showed like a clip from like I don't remember what it was. Let's just say it was like Napoleon Dynamite school photos, and then the Kickstarter pitch is over. I'm like, I got no information or context about what the heck is happening here. You don't know what you're doing immediately off the bat. So when I said that the video is technically optional, but it's not optional, do not consider it optional. Like, I would rather you have no video than waste your video.
Definitely. Yeah. There's like one of the things that I see relatively consistently with Kickstarters, which I consider a waste, is just slideshows. Like, I can see photos or graphics on your page. Like, if your video's just going to be...
If you do a slideshow with a voiceover.
Yeah, if you do a voiceover, okay. But a lot, like, I see a surprising number of just slideshows. Like, they're just like, oh, let me just throw it into iMovie and put the Ken Burns effect on it, and just, like, that's the video. Like, just don't even bother. If you're not going to at least do a voiceover, what's the point? So yeah, no video is better than lazy or wasted video for sure. And that voiceover better have good audio.
Okay, so let's see. What are some other bad ones? Bad Kickstarter campaigns can live or die with the premise. Now that's not to say that a cosplay calendar like I'm doing, that's essentially what it is. It's a cosplay calendar. I am doing a cosplay calendar that I think is a good idea, and I've seen other cosplay calendars that I think are bad ideas. Now, I'm not saying that I'm a better photographer and no other photographer could possibly do a cosplay calendar. What I'm saying is that when the photos are very amateur level and you're charging, $40, $50 for like a handful of 4x6s before you like actually get a calendar, and you're not actually showing any of your photography work, you can talk to me all day, but if you're doing a photography campaign, I better damn well see some of your photography. So I think a lot of those kind of get wasted. I saw another Kickstarter where it was, hey, I want to make an art project. Pay me for my money. Like, just like pay me for my money. Pay me for my time. Just give me money.
Yeah.
Like, that was the campaign. And it's like, what do I get? You get nothing. If this is successful, then I will get paid my hourly wage to make this thing that I can then go sell. Of like, no, that's a terrible, like, starting point. This like we just said, it's not a store, but it kind of is. Like, you should expect to give people a thing that is of like a relative return, Yeah,
you see this as like I want to charitably call these education Kickstarters, or people like, I want to do a thing, so pay me to exist and learn how to do this thing or work on this thing. Like, cool. Nobody else is getting paid for that. Usually people pay for their education, or at the very best, it's free in some respect. But yeah, we're not going to pay you to learn things. Like, I wish we all lived in a world where we could get paid to learn things all the time. That's all I would ever do. But we don't live in that world. And so, yeah, I'm not going to just give... Well, and then the other problem with that is, what is their obligation then? They could just not learn the thing or do something entirely different. You gave them money for basically nothing. And it's usually like, oh, I swear I'm going to run a blog, or I swear I'm going to have a YouTube channel and you're going to watch this. That never happens. Because it turns out running a blog or YouTube channel is a lot of work, and
It
people
really
would rather
is.
just not do that.
As someone who has done both, oh dear Lord, yeah. There's a reason I don't blog anymore, people.
Yep.
I know I should, but I just don't have the bandwidth.
Exactly. Well, you do. You're on Fiverr now.
But yeah, I just went to dinner the other day with my friend who got their doctorate, and they're like, "Oh man, like life's been crazy. Like I have 2 kids, and I got my doctorate, and I'm working full time." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know what you mean. I have a photo shoot this weekend. I am similarly swamped."
I don't have anything to follow up on that. Moving forward, you can kind of see this as actually a trend in general of these like personal Kickstarters, like around their lives. One that I've seen quite a few times, including unfortunately for people that I know personally, is I want to go on a vacation. Can you please pay for my vacation?
Yeah.
I would love for people to pay for my vacation. I wish this one worked.
And usually what these turn up into are, I'm gonna go like either write a blog about or a guide to or take photos of X place.
Yeah.
And it's very thinly veiled of like, I want to do a photo project in Iceland. I'd be like, don't we all?
Yeah.
I see what you're doing. This is a very lazy excuse.
Yeah. So if you are the only alternative to this would be like, it's not actually vacation. If it's somebody that's established and they're like, hey, I've been doing all this coverage. Like I've watched, like there are many YouTubers that I enjoy that their whole thing is basically traveling to a place and documenting it and showing you what's there. If one of these Kickstarters or one of these YouTubers, excuse me, tomorrow started a Kickstarter and said, hey, I've covered all these places or all of this stuff in this place. I want to go to this other country and do a series on that. I might consider backing that because that's their job. Like yes, they're on a vacation, but they have an established output of, you know, vlogs or blogs or photos or whatever.
And here's the thing, though. To that person, that's not a vacation.
It's not. It's working.
They will have enjoyable time while they are there.
Yeah.
But it is very much work. Like, so I say Iceland because I did a photo shoot in Iceland, and let me tell you, did I bring my wife and did we try to turn it into a mini vacation? Yes, we did. We were there for 10 days, and 6 of them we got to kind of just like relax a little bit. But the other 4 days, a lot of work, a lot of planning, a lot of effort. I was like in photographer zone from sunup to sundown, and even hours into the night. No, it was a nice trip, but it was not a vacation. I was there because I needed to work.
Yeah, for sure. And for some of this stuff, like I would recommend if you're this kind of creator, let's say that you are doing this, I would steer you away from Kickstarter. I would say go to Patreon. Make this an ongoing thing. If you're continually traveling and making art while you travel, you need ongoing support for that. And there are plenty of Patreons that do very well basically doing that one thing. I would say if you are that person that this works for, probably don't do Kickstarter, probably do a Patreon or something like that. Because this kind of one and doneness is not very good for ongoing media creation like that. If you're not that kind of person and you're just looking for a vacation, don't bother, please.
So here's another Kickstarter-esque thing. There are some Kickstarters where it's like, hey, we want to make a movie, right? And we need funding to make a movie. Cool. Makes sense. But let's take my calendar, for instance. If I came to you and said, I would like to make a calendar, this is how much it costs to print and do the calendar, this is how much it costs for just one of the shoots, bought a wig, I commissioned someone to make a 3D printed prop. I bought a kiddie pool, and I'll be buying about 8 to 10 gallons of milk, and all of that all in is costing me somewhere in the realm of $80 to $100. So, like, that's just for one of the 12 calendar months. So you can see how this can add up quickly that I'm spending a decent chunk of change. I spent $200 at Bevmo because it's a drink-themed calendar to get all of the alcohols and spirits I need to test. I'll be testing roughly 200 drink recipes by the time we're done, to make sure that the 12 that end up in the calendar are actually any good. So again, these are all things that like I'm paying for right now, and would I like to get that money back? Yes, I would. But if I came to you and said, hey, I need to get props and I need to do camera and I need to actually pay for the calendar of all this stuff, and then I'd be like, okay, so what have you done so far? No. I'm not going to start shooting until you pay me. Like, complete deal breaker. Like, if you're doing prototyping or something like that, you don't come to Kickstarter with an idea. You come to Kickstarter with a prototype. And you say, we need to do the run now. So when I come to Kickstarter, I come to the Kickstarter saying, hey, whether you pay me a dime or not, this has all been shot. This is the investment I've made. This is the time that I'm doing. Like, when you shoot a film, like, don't go to Kickstarter to shoot the film. Go to Kickstarter saying, I shot a film and now I need to hire like the colorist and the sound editor and actually get it finished. Like, that makes, and then like show us some of the film. For the pinup calendar, I'm shooting the whole calendar. I need you so that I can actually print the physical thing I will send you. Because no, I'm not going to drop $2,000 printing a thing if no one wants it.
Yep. Yeah, this is very much a, I want to have a new piece of equipment. I could do something cool with it. Please buy me that piece of equipment. No, the rest of us have to buy our own equipment, and then we figure out how to pay it off later. That's not how this works. You see this a lot with teenagers, unfortunately. Not throwing shade on teenagers, is just like, they're like, well, I have so much potential. I could do, if I had this really great camera, I could do so much with it. You say teenagers,
I say college students.
Well, yeah, you college students as well. I mean, there's some overlap there, but like, you see
it's
this.
It's my birthday. Get me a camera. I saw that one once.
Exactly.
Legit.
You see this tending to be younger is what I'm
yeah.
Not like I'm super old and wise, but you see this as pretty young starter photographers, starter videographers, and they're like, I really need this camera, but I can't afford it. Look, I promise I'm going to do so many cool things. Like, sorry, like, I'd like to believe you. Like, I understand the struggle. It sucks having to pay for your own gear.
But I do not believe you.
But you could totally lose interest in this in 5 minutes, and then what's the point? So yeah, it's buying gear sucks. I would love to buy a Sony Alpha 1, but I don't have $6,500 to buy it. Like, that's just how it is.
Gotta get that Chronos.
Or the Chronos,
right? I've already got the Pro Blends. Yeah. Now you gotta get the Chronos, and we'll do some real crazy high-speed macro. Whatever.
Yeah, it's like, I need. Yeah, how about I start a Kickstarter? Please buy me a high-speed camera. I promise I'll do cool things with it. Like, no, that's not how that works. So yeah, buying, unless you're already doing something cool, I'm not interested. I could maybe see this as like we've done it so far with this equipment, and look at how much we've done, and you know, if we had this extra, we could step it up to another level. I could maybe see it working, but for the most part, if somebody's like, please buy me a camera, please buy me a computer, please buy me XYZ thing, I could do so many things with it. I'm like, well, you haven't done anything, so no.
Yeah. I think we've pretty much covered kind of most of the just cursory glances as you're going through. These are the things that turn people off. Don't do it. But you can still do everything right and fail.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about kind of my own experience in Kickstarter. Like I said, I've done a lot of work for other people's Kickstarters, ones that have failed spectacularly, ones that have just missed the mark, ones that have succeeded with flying colors, even ones that succeeded with flying colors, but then once I was hands off because I was just helping them with the campaign, they failed on execution. Like that, I've seen the whole spectrum and the whole gamut. But when you take a look at just my two Kickstarters, so my good one was Galactic Pinups, and that was my second one. My first one was I got a new camera, now what? And I wanted to put together this kind of guide for both a kind of like book guide and a video course kind of that goes along with it for kind of intro photography stuff. And so I did the right thing where I shot the first chapter, essentially. Like I did the first bit, and I said, this is kind of what you can expect. But to actually do all of this, I don't have a studio at that time. I need to pay for studio time. I'm super broke, but like, this is what I've been able to do on my own. If this is a thing you guys are interested in, let's do that. So I did the nice video. I did the nice campaign page. I had the premise. I had a little bit of it done before I even started. But one of the things that I really failed to do was get people on board before it started. This is not Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will not come. So that was really the huge mistake of just like, I, by myself in a bubble, like people kind of said like, oh yeah, I'd like that. I'm like, oh, sweet. But someone saying it's a good idea and someone literally handing you some cash for that idea are two completely different things. And in a bubble, I said, this is a good idea. And I built it myself and I launched it. And then once I launched it, I tried getting people on board. And the goal was really low. I don't even remember what it was. But I raised maybe a couple $100, but it wasn't enough and to pay for all the studio time it needed. And it just kind of fizzled out at the end. Versus now, I've been working on this for months. I have a group of like 100 people, essentially, that even if not all 100 of those people are actually going to buy it, they're all kind of on board on helping it succeed. Of like, even if they don't buy one, like they'll post it on Reddit for me and Facebook and tell their friends. And kind of, I have this group that is helping push this thing and has been for months, even though, so when the Kickstarter is launches on Tuesday, tomorrow, I feel confident that if we don't hit day one funding, we'll at least hit 80-90% day one. Like that's kind of just a built-in thing versus building it, putting it on Kickstarter, and then going, hey everyone, I made a Kickstarter, I hope you like it. That does not cut it.
Yeah. So this is something that a lot of people don't understand with Kickstarters, especially people who haven't run them before, is most of the funding for a Kickstarter happens right at the beginning and right at the end. There's like this huge trough in the middle. There's a spike and then nothing. And so if you have a 30-day Kickstarter, probably 25 of those days will be little to no funding at all. And it's all at the beginning, all at the end. And if you come into a Kickstarter in the middle, people just either forget or they're like, oh, I've still got a couple weeks, I can decide. You need that built-in, that buy-in immediately to get that going. If you don't get that initial funding, almost certainly it will not succeed. You won't be able to get enough by the end. Even if you have somewhat of a spike at the end, it won't be enough to overcome it. You have to kind of put that groundwork in place ahead of time or it just won't happen.
Yep. I had 96% funding on day one last time, and then we traveled over that mark over day two, and we did end up at 3,600 out of 3,000, whatever that percentage ends up as. So it did continue to climb, but I would say organic people I don't know, essentially, purchases were less than 10% of all of the actual backers. So you need to have your team and your cheerleaders and the people who want your product lined up before you post your Kickstarter. And there's no easy way to do that. I wish we could end this podcast by saying we have your silver bullet, but you need to have all the marketing and people and things in place before you launch, or even if you did everything else right, you're dead in the water.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have that initial, so the other weird aspect to this is Kickstarter will promote Kickstarters that are doing well on their platform. It'll show it to more and more and more people. It'll show it on the front page. And if you don't have that initial rush of interest, almost certainly you will not be promoted in any way, and your Kickstarter will just fade away and die quietly. And so that's the other reason why you need that initial support, not just to succeed on monetary terms, but you need that traffic so that Kickstarter pays attention and the algorithm promotes you, or at least gives you more notice so that you can make that funding by the end. So that's very important. Unfortunately, Kickstarter, like every other platform on the internet, you need to fight the algorithm. You need to play ball with the algorithm, or you will not succeed. And Kickstarters is largely on just traffic, on just people showing up and looking at it and backing it, ideally. So
I think this has been a really good and pretty thorough, all the different ways you could do Kickstarter wrong. I want to end with a few questions that you can ask yourself. So if you are doing a Kickstarter, all right, question number 1, is your thing actually good?
Yeah, not do you think it's good? Is it good?
Is it good?
Yeah,
okay,
be honest.
and kind of, if you're not sure, is this a thing people want? Because if it's not a thing people want, no one cares. Is it realistic? Hey, Stuart, so why don't we shoot a feature-length film, a documentary about Ukraine using our student photography group? And, that we should be able to do that in like a month or 2, right?
Oh, yeah, easy.
Inside joke, that's how we met. And there was this one guy who wanted to do that. And we're like, why don't we try like a 2-minute short film first? And then it took us a year to do that 2-minute film.
Yeah. Crazy.
And then, are you honest with your risks, which we started with? So we'll end with that. Those are things like, is it good? Is it a thing people want? Are you being realistic with what you can achieve? And are you being honest and open? And is your campaign actually finished? If you don't have photos and text and stuff in your campaign, it's not finished. If you don't have a good video with clean audio, it's not finished. If you don't have people lined up to support you day 1, it's not finished.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, unfortunately, Kickstarter is not, in many ways, not a meritocracy. You don't succeed on just, is it a cool idea?
The popular kids win.
Yeah, the popular kids win, and you got to be a popular kid, unfortunately. That's just how it is. As much as I hate saying that out loud.
Popular, gonna be popular.
Exactly.
And now I'm getting into DMCA to take down this episode. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Once again, if you want to see more about this pinup calendar, it launches tomorrow. Go to galacticpinups.com, search Galactic Pinups on Kickstarter. If you're watching this on or after the 22nd, it will be live. If you're watching it before, you have to change the filter from all to upcoming, because apparently upcoming does not count as all in the Kickstarter filter when you're searching. Weird. Whatever. Go get your calendar. They're cheap. They're fun. It's a good time, and we will see you again next week with more photography, opinion, goodness.
Go forth and succeed on Kickstarter. And back Galactic Pinups. See you next time.
If you have questions or ideas for future episodes, you can email us at hello@photo-op.show.
Watch us on Ben's YouTube channel at NomCreative.
As in Om Nom Nom.
Share this with a friend, and you can listen to Photo Op anywhere podcasts are sold.
Or download it. 'Cause it's free.